Wrong one. Hello and good evening, everybody, or welcome to another Asylum Podcast, episode 58, something like that. It's Easter. We're all confused. Nothing's been done properly. It's all good.
No.
We've all got new equipment. We're all messing with that, and it's all going wrong. I spent all week tearing my hair out because it's like this banging. It as Toby described it, it was like a rabbit jerking, electric rabbit jerking off is the sound I kept getting from my microphone. Great fun.
Bright eyes.
Yeah, I was singing that song as it was going away, but no, I managed to, I think, solve it. So hopefully, let us know at the audio. Let us know if it's okay, good, bad, or the ugly, or somewhere in between. But hopefully, it's going to be working fine. We can do a little bit of tweaking. But otherwise, yeah, that's where we're at. So this week we are joined by the usual little bit of madness and
a pleasure.
the Super Mac Brothers Ryan.
Yeah.
I'm not apologizing, by the way. If you do hear any music in the background, my wife has got an awesome movie on, and I'm not telling her to turn it down. She's got Roadhouse on with Patrick Swayze.
Oh,
so
Roadhouse.
That is allowed. That is 100% allowed in the background. It might get us completely. We've got to be careful because of copyright on YouTube. So I'll try not to talk when there's music on. But
Actually, can't hear it at all.
That's probably because there's no music, so it's probably fine.
Oh, that
that's
might be.
good. Whew. Got to be careful. We got to watch out for those copyrights.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Someone record it. Sample. Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. And also I can't. Although I can adjust everybody's levels, it sounds different to me than it does probably on the stream. So if everybody's quieter than me or whatever, please let me know, and I'll do what I can to adjust it.
Yeah. I've had so much fun with this Go XL Armies. Like the other day, you've gone to the next level with obviously the nerds over there, but with me, it was like we did the colors. That's what we did. With
Who,
Miz, he
me?
did the colors with me. We got the colors sorted with Madness. That's pretty much what we did. And then he went and spoke with the professional people, the ones that actually know how to make things work, which is pretty good.
Yeah, so we got colours set up. It was like it shines pretty colours. It looks good, and hopefully it sounds better than it did before. Otherwise, it was a bit of a waste of money. No, the mixer itself is fantastic. It's got a lot of functionality. It's also going to be used quite a lot when I do my D&D. Expect things. I'm going to basically get rid of everybody else, all the other players in D&D, and I'm going to make loads of NPCs and talk to myself in different voices using the mixer.
Well, I mean, like people here, like one of the big things for everyone, like on YouTube and on who watch us, like come and watch us. The few people that do watch us every week, you loyal few, I love you. But you guys, you'll be able to tell if the audio is better. I mean, we'll go back and watch some of the videos, but does Miz sound better? Do I sound better? Is the audio sound better? That's how we know. Otherwise, if you say, you could troll the shit out of us and say, no, you sound terrible, that's fine. You ultimately paid for it, most of you lot. So, it's your own fault.
You're to blame.
It sounds worse.
But yeah, no, I think it sounds better. I don't know about you,
I think
Liz, but I think he sounds clearer, better.
No, I've just got a cold cruise.
It's deeper and warmer.
It's getting warm in here.
Is he on about the audio though?
I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
for sure.
So as always, the bot should be running !question. If you have a question, feel free to fill out our question form, and we shall endeavour to answer the questions. If you can't be asked, yeah, I did. Should we drink? No. If we can't be asked to fill out the form, you could just ask the question in chat, and if we see it, we'll answer it there. But if you really want an answer, it's probably better to do it on the form. Otherwise, we don't have much in the way of content to talk about, so we're going to just talk about other stuff and wait, and then we'll maybe suggest Star Citizen once to get our 10% quota in, and then and then we'll end it.
I think so. I think this is like we're at the end of the 3 weeks of kind of like the drought Star Citizen, hopefully, are going to be coming back with some proper content again with their ATVs. So we'll have some new stuff to talk about. 3.5 is now live. And we've got this wonderful, wicked thing to talk about, which is this new questionnaire thing that they've thrown out again to the community, which I think is really interesting. And I'm also interested to see, do they post up the results for this? Like in terms of like what were the top load of stuff? Because they did it last year, didn't they?
I can't imagine they would do. But I would think they will address what they are now going to work on based on our feedback. But I don't know if they'd put like, this was first, this was second, this was third. It would be nice if they do.
I would like them to do that. It would be interesting to see what the top three. Oh, Miz. Oh, it would be nice to see what I was like. What happened then? Or maybe that was just my screen.
That's awesome.
I was like, we're like kind of streaky paint. It was like,
oh, is it my lighting? It's getting overexposed.
Was
I think.
That for anyone else? It might have been just my screen. It might be my screen. Don't worry.
Sorry, Toby.
Probably just me. I'll move the mic closer for the love of God.
Eat your microphone, man.
This is better for you, Toby. I'm sorry. I'll just spend the evening like this.
What a great film. I'm going to have to call the show pretty quickly for myself, guys. I want to go watch Roadhouse.
You're just going to go and watch it. Yeah.
Let me
really
just
do.
try and adjust that, Toby. I don't know.
So what we have. So tonight I may be drinking some sake.
Sake?
I'm going to share with the missus. See if she wants that. Do you want to try some, my darling? Yeah, she's shaking. She's nodding her head. She's not shaking her head. Damn it! It's a shame. So but this is brand new. I bought this from it's a Japanese import. It was on from a place. Pretty good, I think. We'll open it up on Stream Live. Had a £890 bottle of sake next to this one.
How much was that one?
And the one next to this one was £500.
But do they actually
The one
taste
next
any
to that
different?
one was £340. And my one was 20 quid.
Perfect.
I was like, the guy was trying to sell it to me hardcore, like the owner and stuff, and like this really cool Japanese dude. And I was like, dude, you look like, one, you could potentially take me around the back and murder me, and like just chop me up into sushi. Two, you just look like a cool, like I just want to learn karate. Yes, sensei. You know what I mean? It was like that kind of thing. He's just so cool, dude. And he was just telling me like, you know, all about the sake, and he was explaining to me like the reason why this one is like 500 quid, and they sold 3 yesterday. Some guy came in and bought 3 bottles of it because he knew that like it's super hard to get hold of in Japan and all sorts of other stuff. And so I was like,
Nice.
yeah, you sound like a proper salesman. Like, oh yeah, we sold 3 of these cars already, you know, and we're struggling. You know, it's going to be gone tomorrow. You know, if you want to spend 500 quid, now's your time. I was like, fuck off. So
You only live once. Money's just money.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Spend it on sake. What else would you want to buy?
Well, that's not happening. But yeah. Well, let me just. I should have done this earlier, but I need to do it now. I need a drink.
Yeah, you need a drink now.
And he disappears just like that.
He's got to watch Roadhouse. That's the problem.
Yeah, he won't come back again now. It's like, let's just watch this film. I was on my way. So I suppose the biggest news is that Star Citizen actually went live. That was probably the biggest thing. So they finally decided that it was good enough to go live, which resulted to as many. Does it look like numbers have increased now that it's gone live?
I think they have, but I think with the server issues from last week, it kind of died off very quickly.
I don't think the numbers have gone up at all, dude. I think you've got a lot of people who used to be streamers who've gone away, and we've got a lot of new people, and we have a couple of people, the big names, who come back briefly, play a little bit, test it out, disappear again. And I think because you've got your Burke. I mean, the only person I'd say he's pretty big still and continues to like smash it every day, obviously, is Rexilla, and I think he's kind of committed 100% now. He can't really back out, really. I don't think so. You know, he's the only one for me that's kind of still smashing that.
Partly, but I think with his it's something I was talking about with Bokanat in terms of like the role play side of things. And I think although he's not role playing, but he's setting up loads of things to do within the server as a group. And I think at that point you're kind of making your own content, so it doesn't matter whether there's quests and missions and stuff there. It's that's the sort of stuff that when you're going to mix up and do your own, do your own thing as a group. I think like we've talked about it before. It doesn't matter. It almost doesn't matter what game you're playing, as long as you're in a group. It's going to be fun, and I think that's what he's kind of managing to push through with Star Citizen, because they're getting good group battles. You can lock down outposts, and
numbers are relative though. Like when you look, like for example, if I have a quiet stream, I may lose 20, 30 people, whereas when he has a quiet stream, that's like 200, 300, 400 people, and he may look like he's still getting massive numbers, but it's all relative to what his average is. And I'm sure on the run up to 3.5, he was seeing a dip. I think everyone was. And now it might start increasing again. But I think, like you're saying, the increase in viewership or the increase in players are new backers who are discovering it and seeing it. Old backers may come in, test the flight model, get a bit bored because there's still not really much to do, and disappear again. Like every patch, we see a big increase, a big influx of people testing it again after years off, and then it'll drop again. And I don't think the longevity is there yet. And I think people have tried it, realize there's still not really enough there to keep them going. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm enjoying jumping back in and running missions like the dogfighting missions, and actually earning a decent amount per mission at the moment, which gives you the chance to buy stuff and upgrade and whatnot.
Yeah.
But again, you lose your ship, you lose everything, you lose your life.
I heard that they'd, from a few people have told me is that the bounty missions and stuff are, they reward you quite well. And also, if you do the bounty missions and you accept them and someone else completes them, you get the money for as well. So even if you're on your way, you can still get paid complete, and they pay out pretty decent. And like someone said, they made like $100,000 or whatever it was, which again is something I think the community's been screaming at Star Citizen to do for a while. It's been, it's like, it's patch after patch. I think in 3.0 it was like, come on, give us some more money. We need to make more money if you're going to make it. And then when they released the ships, it was like, now we really need you guys to give us some money, because we want to buy some spaceships, especially new players, to be able to do stuff. So that's really positive. That's really good.
Isn't there like a limit to like how many people can pick up, say, a bounty mission though? Like, don't they disappear if people pick them up?
I don't know.
I can't remember what they've said, especially about this Twitch mission. I don't know about bounty stuff, but I think they said they're not allowing everyone to accept the Twitch intercept mission. So everyone comes and fights the one person who's trying to get the drugs, because then everyone is just against it, and it just forces PvP where technically it shouldn't really be. It should be you take a mission to counter that one. That's its own mission.
Yeah.
And then a new mission for the same thing can take you to a different bunker. But I don't know about bounty. I've done maybe 5 or 6 bounties in the last sort of week, and I've not seen another player around where I am. But I have noticed they make the Crusader security or Hurston security pirates, and the guy that you're supposed to target friendly until you shoot him, which is backwards because I'm not a pirate. So it's like,
yeah.
And then I get a crime stat, and then I have to get killed at Lawville and then respawn. So it's still like silly issues from places. But that's what I think this whole 3.5 feedback thing is. And I'm applauding CIG for it. The fact that they are getting all of our feedback on all of these different areas.
Didn't they do a feedback form before from one of the other patches? I'm sure there was something when they
have done, but this is more. It seems more in depth into terms of like individual feedback threads, which I think like covering the most irritating bug, ship combat, most frustrating gameplay. They're basically asking us what we like, what we don't like, and what we want to see, which I think is the most important thing. Fucking man down.
Just ignore me.
Just
ignore me.
But I think it's the most important thing.
Hit your mute button.
Don't worry.
Because if we're getting all this information, if they're getting all this information, then they can actually start focusing on tweaking all these areas that are important. And they're not even like the big things that need changing or tweaking, like speed, like times to travel, prices, those sort of things can just be tweaked on the fly technically, and it shouldn't take too long. But hopefully it'll just be like,
it's kind of feedback from that though that they need to know, because like people moan it about being whinging, and especially like obviously streamers are more vocal because you're seeing them and people are watching them. But it's and it's at the end of the day, I mean, even the flight patch is a huge indicator that the opinions do differ. And they kind of, I think by having this feedback form, it's kind of a way to, because instead of just everyone complaining saying, oh, you're the vocal minority, it gives everybody a chance to give their feedback, whether you like it or you hate it. And then if you like it, you can tell them what you like about it. And then that way they get a bit more of a clearer picture and say, well, actually, no, people seem to be enjoying this. And if you only hear the moaning side, then you're constantly chasing this towel that keeps changing because people moan all the time about different things. You do kind of need a balanced feedback. So I think hopefully all those people that are enjoying it and moan at the people that are moaning about it, hopefully they'll go in and they'll give their feedback so that we can actually get maybe more of CIG can get more of a balanced view on exactly what people's opinions are. And hopefully then from there get a way of tweaking and balancing and changing things to make it better. Because at the end of the day, we all do have our own opinions and we do have things that we prefer or don't prefer. And more so now than ever, I've seen so much division between travel times, between the flight mechanic, between the way combat works, between the auto-aim. Like, there's so much, and it seems really divided. The community, especially this 3.5, more than anything, has seemed to have divided people, like, massively.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, I played the few the other day, and I felt really bad because when I was playing, I was so unhappy. It was obvious to myself. I had to quit after an hour and a half because I was just not having a good time. I wasn't enjoying it.
What was it that you didn't like? just boring after a certain
I was so bored. Like, I can't describe it anymore. And the thing is like, normally, okay, this is the thing. If I was bored, it didn't bother me too much because I knew the next day I would jump into Arena Commander or jump into the PvP part of the game that I really enjoy, and I get a fix and I'll be happy. But the sad reality is that when I switched off that computer, I was like, I'm not going to do that tomorrow, and I was totally bummed out. I was really bummed out. I was like, what's going to happen tomorrow? Because it sucks. It's the auto gimbals have ruined it for me completely, and just the way the tracking's not working and stuff. So I was just literally like totally bummed out, and the problem was with the biggest difficulty I had with the flight thing was the travel time. In this instance was because they were playing at ArtCorp, and I wanted to join them. It's all right.
Don't know why we're getting a phone call so late at night. Weird. Rachel, look at it.
That's okay. That's okay. Hello, welcome to Mac Industry. And like we wanted to meet up. I wanted to meet up with them. They'd already been playing for a bit of time, so I was like, I jumped in. I was like, I want to come. I don't want to be salty. I want to enjoy this game. I want to try it. I want to see what it's about. So I was like, I'll jump in. I'll play. And I tried to join them, and then I got on. Then I waited for their friend. I was like, I'll go fly myself. And they're like, oh, don't worry, Skyroll, the Skyrim, I forget his name, we'll pick you up in a Starfarer and then bring you to ArtCorp because it's a bigger ship, it's got faster engines and should get there quicker. So I was waiting for him to come from Hurston, didn't realise, to come to pick me up at Port Olisar. So I was standing around. Then he finally comes in, then we get in, then we travel from his ship to ArtCorp. Then he accidentally, whatever reason, overheats his engines or didn't do something right or whatever it was. So then we stop like near the end of the distance, and then he has to redo it and then jumps again for no reason other than the fact that. And then we come in and then we get there and then in the middle of all of this, I think then they crash out or something. One of them crashes out and then he dies, and then I'm sat there and I was just like,
yeah, no. We tried.
I had to do the jump again, and then I was like, do you know what? I'm done. Like I was like 30 minutes of doing literally nothing. Is like I've only got so much time to spare. I can't do this. It's boring.
On the stream today, we had maybe about 8 people jump in and sort of join in the Hammerhead. But to start with, I spawned at Olisar, 3 people spawned at ArtCorp, 2 people spawned at Lawville. Someone spawned somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and so it was like the whole half an hour of starting the game was waiting for people to meet up or collecting people. At the moment, I wouldn't be disappointed if they did reduce the times for travel for the sake of the alpha, and then increased it back to what it was when we have the reason for things to do in game. I'm happy for that to happen. I don't think they should be shorter, but I think they need to be at the moment.
they've done it with the claim prices, right? And the way that they claim things. Like the reality is the prices and the time of the ships that we have now, those aren't accurate, right? Because like in theory, when the game goes to live, that's going to be exponentially greater. The time it takes to get your ship back is going to be much longer. So I don't see why they don't do the same thing with travel for the time being, or test it out and see what it's like next patch. But give us really reduced jump times for a patch and see what people's reactions are. See how many people grumble about it versus see how many people say, thank you very much. That's just made us able to group up a bit better. I get why it's here, because when the game is, we've got these massive universes, you want to have people playing in particular areas. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and then it takes like a big, you know, you load up all your ships onto like your Kraken or whatever and say, right, we're going to go invade so-and-so's territory on the other side of the system. And we have to, you know, you have to be planning for a week or something, and a spy sent out, and you know, it gets all those people who love all that shit getting wet between their legs, you know, and that I get it because that's exciting, and you know, that's exciting. Yeah, sorry.
It was a delayed one there.
Beep. Sorry. I'm still getting used to the button. But you know, I get why I get what that's all about. It's exciting and stuff. So, but for me right now, I'm with you. Like, I would just be like, dude, just for the time being, like, just
I
100% a minute, you know, just for a patch or two.
I think just reduce it by even 50%, just for the sake of the alpha. It would make people want to play it, because a lot of people don't understand why it's like that, because they don't understand the future of the game. Not saying that they need to understand, but just for the sake of what we have now, reduce it by 50%. Let people try that out for the time being and get used to that. And then when the mechanics do come in, we can then just go and extend it again. Yeah, but there's little game things like that in there that we need.
It's just that strange sort of fear of everybody's not going to get it when they change it.
That's what they worry about. Yeah. But then they can go halfway, you know, like sometimes I go, they've gone quite far, in my opinion, right now, and some people have got used to this time and are quite happy, and there's a load of people like, this is like myself, who are going, this is not really like, I'm struggling, you know, I want to jump in with friends who are streaming or people, and I want to get to the action or get to the situation fairly quickly, within reason. I don't, you know, and I don't see why that should be super. I know some people would say, well, that's tough shit for you, man, you know, but I'm like, you shouldn't have to really, like, I mean, we're going to have situations where you're going to be ringing your mates up in work and saying, can you set off your ship for next Thursday so we can have a game and play together, you know? It's kind of, they're going to have to find the balance somewhere. I'm all for a little bit of length of time, but I'm also for gameplay and action.
Yeah. I think, like what Disposable Hero says, is that people will then, when they extend it again, people will riot. And in a way they may do, but by that time we may have things to actually do in ships. We may have interactions with other players. Like, even the grouping system doesn't work very well at the moment, so we can't, like, part of the long travel will be being in a group together, having mechanics on board, like engineering, games, just chatting, just interacting with the ship itself, which we don't have, which is why long travel feels boring. And technically, we're not supposed to be long traveling in single-seater ships per se, because we're supposed to be loading them into bigger ships or, you know, commercial transport, that sort of thing. But at the moment, the current alpha, I think it's one of those quality of life things, and there's multiple things that they could do, like just giving us a very simple ability to share mission rewards with other players. Just simple things like that I think if they just added a placeholder for now, just to make the current alpha fun for the average player, not for like to me, I'm like, I don't really care, because I'm happy the way it is. I enjoy it, and I clean up while I'm quantum traveling. It gives me I fucking write videos and stuff. But
it's probably one of the only games where you would say, I sit there and play a game and then go and do something else while playing the game so that I can play the game. And it's all right saying, oh, part of the mechanics is that we're supposed to be doing group content and working together. But the problem is, if you're not grouped when you start, then you're not going to be doing group content even when you log on. It's like, that's the, you know, you got to get together before you can do the group content. And I think that's the danger. It's like and then if you play without someone, so say you normally play within a group, and then it's like, oh, okay, they're not here today, so I'm going to go and quit. Oh, I don't want to go too far because I'm going to leave them behind. So I'm going to have to stay within this area. Otherwise, when they log in, they're going to be miles away. So then it restricts what you do when you play solo then, because you don't want to leave them behind. So
Yeah, exactly.
I have never played either Nevermind Rocks. I have played Jumpgate, and I've mined rocks in that, which is just sitting there, literally press a button and then just leave it until your cargo fills up.
Do you even mine rocks, bro?
I have played either tiny bit, and yeah, but what again? Like, what's the point? You just press go and then walk away, and then come back half an hour later when you reach your destination. Is that really playing a game? Because that to me is like when I download a fucking patch. I'm sitting there for half an hour for the patch to download. That's not fun. That's your travel time. So,
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man.
I want long travel times. I do want long travel times in the finished game, because there's going to be so much more for us to do. Like you said about the Kraken and going off to to go and invade someone else's space. On that journey, if you've got 15 minutes of travel time, and in a Kraken it's going to be obviously a lot quicker anyway, then you are going to be in the briefing room with all your crew organizing the whole thing and saying, right, you do this, you do that, Alpha team does, that sort of stuff. Like with the Karak, you're going to be on the holo viewer saying, right, we need this team to go in this direction. The planning, and also don't forget other people will be on board, like fixing ships, interacting with components going and overheating, and there's so much more coming to the game in terms of that, and like card games, mini games, those sort of things, that you will have things to keep you entertained on those long journeys. And I want the long journeys, but right now in the current build, and probably not until end of this year, maybe into next year, we're not going to have anything to do on board anyway. So for the sake of making the game, and also it helps with testing when you think about it, the more time people have to actually play the game and not just sit in Quantum, the more chance they have to actually test the mechanics.
I mean, part of the issue you've got as well, though, is that you're saying all this stuff's going to be available on board on a ship and things, but the smaller ships travel slower than the big ships. So the ships that you do the stuff on is the ships that actually travel from A to B faster. So it's like...
Exactly. So that encourages people with smaller ships to employ bigger ships, or to group together with, like, the idea that you can have commercial transport. If you want to go to somewhere quick, you can get a Starliner. You can get a Starliner to, like, say, ArtCorp to Lawville, and you can probably load up your vehicle onto... You can request for your vehicle to be transported from that place to the next.
You mean buses in space? This is a bus game simulator.
It's always been the case. It's always been the case. That's why they have commercial transport and Starliners and things.
I thought that was the job. That was for
people that like to do.
For the NPCs, and like you could get on there now.
The point is, right? You like space combat. You like space combat. Some people don't. So there's something for everyone. So as funny as it sounds, there's people who will want to play that, and that's for those people. And you might think, I want to go to here quick because I want to take part in this battle, and if I fly in my Gladius, it's going to take me 30 minutes to get there. Or you can load up to the player.
Am I right? In my Genesis Starliner. Wait up, boys! In the middle of the fight.
So for combat, here comes all the transport ships.
And over to the left, if someone needs a microphone, on the left you can see an enormous space battle going.
Over to the left, you can see all sorts of things.
With
that you keep your hands in the windows at all times.
With all the people situated in economy, please brace whilst we eject you out the back for the combat section. Oh my god, that's brilliant. I mean, I hear you. And I definitely think that's a fun little addition to the gameplay. But the thing in my head, the better solution would be, like I've said this before, and I would be all for Chris Roberts and their team to develop a super fast single-seater ship that does quantum jumping. It's all built, designed, and specially built to make these quantum jumps fast. Like a Herald that's like... And I would be like, I'm down. I'm buying that bad boy because I want to go from 1A to 1B as little time as possible.
You've left all your ships behind in the hangar that you just flew away from, and you can't pull the ship that you want anyway.
And that's why commercial transport comes in handy, because then you can get taken there without actually having to fly it yourself.
I mean,
that's fine. But if you're going to, what I mean is like you're going to be like that ant, like the ant who's got the wings. He's the first one to go out, out there. If you're maybe going for a new location, or you're scouting for a new place for your base, or maybe you're just scouting for something, your base is still where you are. And then obviously then you do what Mac's talking about. Then you say, I want to move all my shit to this location. So that's there. But, there's going to be times when you want to meet up with your mate, for example. I'm talking about like when you want to meet your mate quickly in another system or something, you can have that ship, that single seat that's going to boost you there really quickly. And you're going to be able to then maybe pick up another ship, buy another ship in that area. And if you stay there long enough, maybe that becomes a second base and you have like another base there and you have more ships. People are going to have ships all over the place, I think. That's the way it's going to be. You're going to have ships in one station on this system and another ships in this system. And yeah, you will have to then employ someone to come along and try and maybe group them together if you want them to. But I'm going to have them all over the place.
Between having a single seat ship that you fly, I suppose that's the difference. You're flying it, and just getting someone else to take you.
It depends what you want to do. Like, not everyone wants to be, on a bus. Like, end of the day, like if that was the case, then why has everyone got cars? Everyone would be taking the bus all the time. You have your own tunes on. You don't have to have some smelly person next to you. It's kind of like you can be just in your own comfort place. I'm just saying, like, most people generally, they like their own space and their own ship, and I haven't got a problem with what you're saying. Like, I'm not saying I won't jump on other people. Like I did it the other day. Starfarer, come and pick me up. But I'm not joking. I'm sat there going, I could have spawned my single seater and I could have been there by now by the time he got here. I definitely hear you, and it's definitely fun for a bit of RP and stuff. But I would rather have I would rather have like a Herald Quantum, like a badass ship that's. Or Orion. Orion?
Well, they might create a single seat ship that is really fast and quantum. I mean, there's no reason why they can't, because all they need to do is just allow room for a large quantum drive on that ship. But then when you get there, obviously you won't be able to do combat. You won't be able to. It'll just that will be its sole purpose. So you can probably use that.
I don't know. I think I'm honestly not sure how good or bad the long travel time is going to be. The pessimist in me thinks it's not going to be good. I think it's going to be, you're going to want to get in there and you're going to want to do stuff and you're not going to be able to. I mean, obviously doing stuff is different for different people, and certainly, obviously, the people that are playing even love the fact that you sit in a time capsule and you just wait 2 days for it to get to the other end. But there'll be lots of people that don't as well. But until we know, until things are getting fleshed out, until stuff's added, maybe there will be enough stuff to do in between that's fun. It's really hard to know. But
I think the point is they're creating gameplay for so many different people, and I'm not going to enjoy playing that gameplay or that type of gameplay, but I will enjoy this, and so it's giving the option for everyone to play what they want.
But I already feel that it's so much more difficult. I mean, yeah, like I said, people love it, but for me, it's already more difficult to go and do a mission now than it's ever been. Like when you could just fly to the ICC mission and it'll broadcast it over the channel waves, and then you can kind of accept it and fly off and do it. Now, so you've got to get your Mobiglass up, you've got to search through all the ones that are there, and then probably they'll take that away and you probably have to go to the job well, and you'll get most of your jobs from the job well, which means you've got to travel to the job well, you go and get your job there, you then go and check it on your Mobiglass, you then go and track where it is, you then get on your ship, and it's just loads of steps of doing stuff and adding things, and it's just lots of to do the thing that you actually want. It seems like there's going to be lots of things stuck in between from A and B. Now, like I said, I don't know. There could be loads of stuff that you end up enjoying, the role-playing, the chatting, you're doing all things, you bump into stuff, you may start on a mission and end up being pulled somewhere completely different because you randomly walk into a stranger. Could be fun. There could be lots of stuff that make it a lot more fun. At the moment, I'm a little bit more like, I'm not sure about it. I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not saying everything should be instant. I'm fed up with MMOs with the instant travel everywhere. But I do also don't. If you're making travel time long, then maybe reduce some of the other stuff, because at the moment everything's being extended. It's not just travel time that we're talking about here. We're talking about lots of things: putting on your suit, making sure your helmet's on, loads of things. Waiting for the airlock to open, then waiting for the next airlock to close, and then waiting for the next one to open. Waiting for your ship doors to open, climb down, waiting for you to get in and out your seat. Everything's an extra step that slows you down. So. I'm not a huge fan at the moment. Not saying I won't be. I'm kind of like, I know loads of people going, oh yeah, I love it being slow. I'm a kind of, well, let's see if you still believe that when we get closer and you want to do stuff. But
yeah, no, it's similar to like Grand Theft Auto when you take on a mission and they say you've got to drive from here to here, before you take the mission on. But it's funny because, like you say, everyone's different. I actually enjoy those travel times. Not at the moment in terms of stats.
You're traveling.
Do something. Right? You can do something in GTA though, and you can weave through traffic, and shit's coming at you, and you're doing something. Whereas in R1, you're loading screen going.
Yeah, that's it. They say no loading screens, but that's pretty much what that is a loading.
But
screen.
That's the trouble. Is like we've got like, and this is the same with a lot of the stuff in Star Citizen. The consistency in end game, current game, like prices of ships, quantum travel times. They're so like in the finished game, and like there's certain games like we've heard before about Red Dead having this 40-second thing where every 40 seconds something has to happen to keep the entertainment. I think there needs to be something like that, but not to that intensity. So that while you are and that's the thing is they've said, I think 3.9 brings it in, is this idea of things happening while in quantum travel. So you're traveling somewhere and something will pop up. Now that again could be quite annoying because you could be wanting to get somewhere to do something pops up, you're like, I don't care. Even though it could be something really cool, like explore this abandoned space station and you find aliens, which would be cool gameplay. But in your head, you're thinking, well, I just want to get here and do this. But it's finding that balance between what we currently have now, what they plan for the future, and start off small. So decrease the player, the price of ships, decrease the travel times to what is suited now. And then as they get more mechanics and more things in, then slowly increase them until they get to the point where it feels like it's getting too much. And dial it back again to the point where it feels accurate. Because it's not going to be a case of everywhere is 20 minutes to get to. Because that, like you say, putting your suit on, all that sort of shit, getting from easy.
Because that's exactly, you just said it then. Like when you're on a mission and you want to get to do that point, and then something tries to pull you one way, and you're like, well, no, I don't want to do that. And that's the thing. If you've got a mission in mind, like say exploring a wrecked building that's potentially got aliens in it, if you're looking forward, you're excited to get to that station, that abandoned station, and really explore it. And then if someone tells you, well, you've got an hour to wait, that's like when you used to raid in WoW and you had to sit around for an hour for the group to fill up. No one enjoyed that.
Don't worry.
You know,
it gets worse, mate. It gets worse because we're going to have inventories now on our ships that will only carry certain. You can't carry everything.
Part of the taking ages.
Okay, sorry.
Well, no, but sorry. No, take your point because it's right. But that's what I kind of meant when there's like all the little steps in between. Because then you're like, shit, where's my inventory? Where's my thing? You know?
Yeah, I mean, what if you forgot to take your gun with you? Or let's just say you're going to do a mining thing and you've forgotten the right drill bit that's required to, and you've spent 20 minutes flying to the other side of the system, and the only nearest shop, is fucking on the other, another 30 minutes away, and you're gonna have to like maybe call somebody to say, this is what I mean. Like this is the type of and I know for a fact that I am one of those forgetful people, so I'm gonna forget. And I'm going to be sat there just going, end stream, go play something else, It's like... I mean,
this is the point that Chris has made as well, is that it's a thinking man's game. It's not like a Call of Duty. It's not like a Battlefield. It's not a game that you jump in and you get instant excitement. It's a game that you get in and you have a vast array of things to do. It's like there's certain games now, like simulators. People don't like simulators.
So not true though, Matt. The way they advertise it and sell it, like every video is action-packed, Rexzilla, or the whole introduction video is like Squadron 42, excitement and jump in, and the whole ethos of advertisement of the game is action and instantaneous. You take off and fly and do cool shit.
The adverts definitely don't equate to the game
of the actual game
idea, because like as Amanda says, like all the ship trailers, every single one is like zoom and boom, and you see like the camera angles as these things go zooming past you. It's all about the buggy races and everything else. There is no slow-paced advert that just says, "Oh, just sit back and chill and have a glass of wine."
I'll give you the real advert.
Even the one where the miner was, even when the one was on the driller. He was like mining, wasn't he? Sitting there having a cup of tea, mining, and then 2 minutes later, the fucking the Kraken comes across and blows the shit out of everything.
Yeah, no, the reality is completely different to what they're portraying as actual game. As well, the gameplay is accurate to what the game is, but the time between getting there is very different.
They should have a writing underneath every one of their advertisements.
A disclaimer.
This is not a disclaimer saying actual events like this will be 1% of your actual game experience. Now and again moments.
This is a taste of your
travel times are long.
This is the actual 90% of your time is this. No, I mean, you know, we were a long way away. They got a long way to go to develop the game and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, the travel times is like, it seems to be one of the first things. It's interesting because like one of the on the feedback sheet, which is kind of that's like the one of the first things is the most infuriating gameplay mechanic is that's the number one that literally like I was looking for like loads of like people adding things and it's just literally flight time, and then it's just like 1,000 people's like 500 people's responses to this one person's thing saying I didn't like the flight model, the flight times, and everyone's going, I fucking love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it. What are you talking shit? This is crap. This is because we need this. The Simboy love fantasy people over here going, this is amazing. The other people saying who want to kind of go, no, this is fucking garbage. You want, and you just, it's literally like we're going nowhere on this one. The reality is the flight times will be whatever they decide, and we can tell them what we like, but they have to make the call on that one.
But we're also at a point where there isn't a right or wrong. I mean, like we said, I mean, you cannot make a game for everybody. I don't think it's probably possible, and they can try and balance the flight times as best they can. And it'll be. The thing is, though, with the flight times, I feel a little bit is the people that like it would probably be just as okay with it being quicker, whereas the people that don't like it being that long won't be happy with it being that long. You know, they'll run it quicker and then they would play, but they won't play it if it's a long time, whereas those that like it as a longer thing, they would probably more likely to play it even if it's a bit quicker. But there we go.
And I've said this before. A lot of people talk about the jump gates, like in chat. Like I personally I feel the jump gates should be over a greater distance, but be shorter time, and then in between the systems can be of a longer time. Then I would feel a bit more appeased. But if they make the jump gates super long, because I look at
the system to system, though, aren't they, rather than through the system? So it's the system travel which is the slow thing.
Yeah, the system travel will be slow, but the massive jump gates themselves, in my head, the way I've envisioned them, be fairly quick. Could be like a minute, you know, and you get like a cool animation and maybe something cool happens in there. But then suddenly you're like I said before, like Stargate, suddenly you're on the other side of the, you know, another system. How cool! I mean, in my head, that's fucking cool. That's great. I love that. And then the travel time between that can be the longer times, you know, to go to different places. I'm cool. I would go. Okay, I kind of get that because I can catch my.
I don't think you're going to get that time. I don't think you're going to get these travel times we're seeing now are probably going to be what you're looking at as maximum travel times, because I think going across the system is going to be the longer journey. When you jump, although it's a further distance, I think that's the whole point of those jump gates, is it's meant to take you through them and traverse a lot quicker. I mean, I could certainly be that wrong, but I mean, you'll navigate through it a bit, but I think it'll be a quicker journey to get through than the system stuff.
Yeah, talking about these jump gates and navigating, it's kind of like if it's an undiscovered jump point, then you would need to navigate it first off and let your nav computer gather that data, and then you have that information of the path through that you can then sell. But then if you, let's say, for example, like Stanton to Nick's system, that's probably been plotted years and years before, so that information is available to you that will automatically be in your nav computer, that when you hit jump through, it'll just take you through, or you may need flight adjustments as you go. But yeah, it's...
But would you... So for like, this is a slightly side question, but for the traveling across the system, you obviously just aim and then you press quantum jump and it's just straight and you wait for 10, 20 minutes. Would you prefer... Or at least in the jump gates, although you just said you could automatically plot it in, would you prefer it to be more of a mini game, or however you want to call it, where you have to dodge things and move, rather than just let it automatically travel you through? Would you want that as part of your flight experience, or...?
They can flip it. They can flip it and go, you do shorter times in the system and then make a fun mini game on the Stargate ones, you know, whatever. As long as I'm entertained, and an entertainment has to be randomized, and it cannot be just like a stupid thing that you do over and because it gets boring quick over and over again. You know what I mean? Like some of these game mechanics where they put something in to unlock something, like a hacking thing. I think it's like some of the stuff in like Mass Effect. They did like a thing where you had to do the hack. It was just like eventually it was like, I know it's not even hard. It's like, this isn't even fucking
rinse
difficult.
Repeat on every single thing.
It's just this is painful. You know, some people are like, this is just all the rover on Mass Effect as well. They did the rover thing and it was like, oh my god, this is so bad. You know. You know, yeah. And to be fair, they learned from that, and they didn't introduce it into the second one. They got rid of it, which did the probe thing, which was kind of fun. But even that game a bit tedious. Tough. It's a tough one. I think we're going to see in a long time. They've got tons to flesh out. Honestly, I'm with Mac on this one. I would just say, just bring it down to half the times from now until we have multi-crewing going on, proper multi-crew where I can really interact with the HUDs and people can really interact with stuff. Things break and you can, like with interdiction, like I don't know why they just brought that back. Like bring back interdiction when shit's fucking working, bring back long quantum times when you got something to do. Until then, for me personally, I would say just mark it for the time being.
It's bad press because, like you say, if they actually did a real trailer, like when you get those what's it called, those trailers that people do, those real versions, that would be horrendous. People would be like, "Why don't I want to play that?" Yeah, and but that's what people get. So it's setting people up for disappointment and like confusion as they jump in. They're like, "Oh, awesome! 32 million kilometers! How cool is that? Let's go!"
Yeah.
What's that?
And then literally 10 minutes later,
like that video
amazing.
where they're headbanging in the car and it just plays on loop for 4 hours.
Yeah. And then it crashes.
I think you watch the realization. I think it's like I watched Angry Joe the other day, like when he was like watching he was playing Anthem and he was, they showed him, there was this clip trailer. And it was like this amazing kind of like trailer for Anthem, like where this action cutscene, and he was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I can't wait to play this. It's gonna be amazing." And he was like getting all hyped up. He's like, "We're gonna do this mission." He's like, because he'd been playing for ages. He's like, "Now the game gets good. It's gonna be really good." And then the trailer went on and on, and then the more realization, he was like, "Oh, I ain't gonna play this. This is just a fucking video, isn't it?" Like literally, it was like
as it was just dawning on him, as it was still playing. Goes, hang on, this is the full battle. It's like Lord of the Rings, Battle of Minister, but then watching all these orcs come towards you. Go, this is going to be amazing. Hang on, no, they're all dying. Oh, I'm not going to get to kill all these. Right, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like that with Star Citizen. I see the new people kind of playing it, and they're all like.
Screenshot,
and then by the end of the week, it's like
it's like tourists, isn't it? With taking pictures everywhere. Oh, this is so cool. Look at this. Oh, all right. Okay, can't do anything.
But then, I guess should their trailers be shit though? It's like who's going to make a trailer that's so bad?
No.
But yeah, I think there's ways to make it so that the game now, the alpha. Which, fair enough, it's an alpha, we understand that. But give the mechanics like it's alpha so that we can actually enjoy the game and not fucking spend hours.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just and if you're very clear at the beginning, like really clear, and you just say, again, this is a communication thing, and say, we're reducing the time frame for now. When we go forward, the times will increase. We are well aware that we want to make this game a little bit longer and things, but don't worry, when we have the gameplay and the game mechanics in place to make it so that it's coming back. And I think, honestly, all the simulation fanboys would probably be like, okay, cool, we'll wait for that. Because they've been waiting already this long.
I'll be happy with that.
I mean, it's quite possible.
And if you
but you do have the same feedback that you're getting now from the flight mechanic, though, that you put it in and you're like, well, this doesn't handle like I used to. I used to be able to fly all over the place, and I'm not playing combat anymore. It's shit. I'm not. But if this was how they always intended it, then it's like, well, they missold you it earlier when you were playing it and loving it. So I get what you're saying, and I agree. I think it should change, and then just change it and say tough shit to people. But the problem is, some people can't accept that. And so it's not always tough shit because it's like I can't accept it.
Well, it is. I mean, like for me, it's like I'm kind of looking at it going, I've been here before. I've seen the flight model kind of be what it is. And at the end of the day, if Chris Roberts and the team at CIG look at this flight model that they've created right now, and not just the flight model, but the gimbals and everything else, and they're happy with the way that is performing and playing, I have massive concerns, obviously, personally, like in terms of it ain't fun for me. But if that's what they think is the way that they want to go with, cool. I've said it before, like I just won't be playing Star Citizen for PvP combat. I will be looking for another game to give me that skill-based, adrenaline-fueled fighter versus fighter fun shit that I was having before. That's fine. I will go to another game and I will just play. Star Citizen will no longer be quite such a draw every single day for me. It will no longer be that love game that I just have to play all the time. It will just join the ranks of a load of other games which will go on the shelf, which is really sad for me personally. But then, maybe I'll fall in love with, travel times and sitting there. No, I won't ever fall in travel time. But maybe I'll fall in love with, some other aspects of the game. And like you say, maybe playing games with other people. Like, I'm not going to throw Star Citizen in the bin, but it won't be a case where I play it every single day. That's the reality of it.
There'll be certain aspects that you may crave playing, but then there'll be others that you just want to leave alone. I think, with most things, it all comes down to balance. And obviously, the first time they implement anything, it's going to be whoa or and they've kind of introduced travel times. Pretty much the majority have probably gone, whoa.
Yeah.
And I think if you're implementing something for balancing, don't go to the extreme. Start small. And if it feels too short, a little bit more. Until you get to the point where, okay, that feels a bit too long. Let's just dial it back to this. And then start there. And then when we start getting more mechanics in, they can start. We're going on about it for ages now.
Yeah. We talked about this for a while. We are literally going around the thing. But I think we're all kind of in a similar sort of place on this one.
Yeah, one of the things is like Sunshark saying you don't have to accept it, this is the key thing. You don't have to accept it. At the end of the day, it could end up being a game you don't like playing. So I think at the end of the day, they should make it. I mean, it boils down to a little bit of where they actually want us to be playing the game now. Because of a game, some people might say, well, no, they're just testing it. Whether you're trying to make it a game when it's not. So it's partly like, do they want it to be a game now? And secondly, they should do it so that if they're going to make it a game, make it so that it's fun for most people, and then change it. Like I said, when they add the mechanics that would require each mechanic to work, it's like adding mining, but no ship to put it in. There's no point adding mining if you can't put the ship in it. So add the travel times with the other things. But yeah, I mean, if things change, this might not be the game for you, and that's pretty much what some people have to come to the conclusion of. This might not be the game for you. Same as like Eve. I don't play it. Guess what? Because it's not the game for me, and this may well.
I know. I think Paul. There was someone tweeted out something on my Discord or whatever, I think it was, or someone else's one, and Paul Astropub was talking about this, and he was saying, someone asked him a question about, Star Citizen streamers, game PvP, how do you feel about the PvPers who've left the game? And he's like, well, they've left the game before and not come back, and then new people have come in and joined the new flight model, and the new generation of people maybe are, unhappy, and they will leave the game, and then there'll be a new group of people, PvPers, who'll come in and enjoy the current PvP model, and so on and so on. There will always be new people coming and going all the time. To a point, this is quite a niche game. This is where I slightly disagree with them slightly, because I'm like, this is quite a niche game, and they continue to make it more and more niche. My worry with becoming super niche is, I guarantee it, all of those people out there who are a whale backer, you're going to have to keep your wallet open for a very long time. Because we will not make enough money being a super niche game to keep 500 people, 4 staff running. You just won't.
No,
they will not.
Right there.
That's the problem. Like, and everyone, you all want super long travels and super complicated game mechanics that suck the life out of most average people who have no time and just generally want to play COD. Those players that you talk about, it's like, oh my god, we know those console players, all those here. But I'm like, there's a shit ton of them, and they play a shit ton of games, and like, you will kind of want some of that money, like really do want some of that money, so you don't have to keep paying like all the time. And it could be a case of Chris will be on his own with 1,000 Simboy hardcore fanboys going, what happened? Like, what's happened to our game? Why isn't no one? Because it sucks. It's boring as shit.
We have Clifford.
Yeah, that is it. It is funded.
This is true.
But yeah, I think Grizz has probably got the nail on the head. It'll be until there's enough people that don't like it. It's whatever that number is in their head, but it'll be until enough people don't like it and they say, right, let's change it. Because that's what it'll boil down to. It'll be numbers.
Do you know, I think games are actually changing in general. And if you look at something like Red Dead Redemption, which you would say is not a niche, it's a AAA 100% open to everyone sort of game. Look at how many little mechanics they're implementing that seem like a mess. Because they're all just like, you can polish a gun, but you can't do that. Or you can't, it's like, games are becoming more complicated. because
No.
players want that.
Yeah.
And as niche as Star Citizen is, there is so many options to the game. There's so many like little games or games within this game that you can have from like, for example, the sim players will probably want to play as a commercial Starliner. You will want to play as a dogfighter. Someone else will want to play as an FPS thing, and they can jump in and do that if they want.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more open to everyone rather than it being too out niched. I don't think it's going to get to that point.
Well, the key is as long as it is open to everyone. That's it. As long as you can jump in and do that thing that you want to do. Then
like we were
works.
saying before, if it requires X amount of time to get there, you forget a weapon, you got to go back again. That is discouraging for a lot of people. So yeah, there's going to need to be ways of making sure that it's not like a confused game.
I mean, I see like Flymo saying like, oh, it's not becoming a niche, and you're saying it's not a niche and stuff. I just think when I say like niche, I kind of, if you go down one type of, say,
niche to me is like bus simulator.
But that's a simulator. You hear the word in that, it says simulator, and so if you're really focusing on the simulation part of Star Citizen, which it isn't, by the way. Anyway, the game is so far from a simulation game. If you actually look at it as a whole, like if it really was a simulation, like almost all of these ships would have to be completely redesigned because they don't work half of them
like
realistically.
Hellion,
you know,
technically.
Yeah, exactly. So
nobody
it's
wants
not
that. Well, they do.
So we don't, and that's what I'm saying. Like I think they're in a good place. And that's what I worry is if they swing too far in one direction, that they will alienate a group of people, and then that alienates a group of money, financially and stuff. It's great that they've got female avatars in. That's really good because then there's no excuse, it's to a point. And there's a load of other things that they can do to increase female players. They can increase more people, the better. And I understand why, and they feel like obviously auto gimbals was for combat was going to be, I think is one of the things that they felt that was going to be the good thing to do. Like, let's make combat easier. We'll get more people playing combat. I think they kind of way off the mark on that one. I
think that the group that we're alienating, well, not exactly, it's a strong word, but the group that we are not attracting to are the young audience. The people that want Call of Duty games, the people that want the quick, fast-paced action, like Fortnite or whatever, we're not appealing to them at all because they don't have the time to invest into it. They don't have the money to invest into it. The people that are playing it are the ones of, I would say, about sort of late teens to any age. I don't want to mention anyone because they're all old.
Well, Star Marine, wasn't Star Marine meant to be? That's the whole point. You advertised it when it was first like, Star Marine's going to be like COD because COD was a big thing. Because you forget, we're going back like, how many years ago when they first started this development?
It's not going to be COD. It's going to be like the mixture between Battlefield
but the amount of people
and Armour.
The amount of people that called for Star Marine and now no one's playing it.
Yeah, but because it's nowhere near where it needs to be. It's a mess at the moment, and it still needs to. Well, it's not a mess. It's actually getting better, but obviously, it's not finished. I mean, I don't want to call that up on that, but Star Marine isn't finished.
Just like all of it.
At the moment, it's
which leads me into a good point, which is we have a question, and so I'll lead it because it's kind of similar to this anyway. And it was from Cruise891, and basically he's saying, seeing a lot of negativity lately from the content creators and on Spectrum. I noticed that a lot of people are losing focus on what type of game it is going to be when it's finished, which is kind of what we're talking about here. Most opinions I see are based on what is now without looking down the road. Yeah. How do you think CRG should fix this? Should we be able to give feedback without knowing how they can actually see it functioning in a finished game? If they ask, how does the community see dogfighting, how can we actually give feedback if the ships just explode straight away when that's not the point further down the line? And so this is kind of what you're saying about Star Marine and also what we're talking about. And this is a good point because they've done a big survey asking for feedback. But it's like, how can you say how combat is if combat's not actually functioning how it's supposed to be? Or if travel times is not functioning how it's supposed to be?
Well, to be honest, although it's not nothing's as such functioning as it should do end game, but it's definitely, you can see things are getting closer to that. And as the time continues, they are obviously going to be dialing it in and taking what we say and what they see and tweaking them a little bit. Because Go ahead, Manus.
No, it's okay, dude. I was waiting. The way I look at it is like for this one is there's been we're not talking about like blank, like literally they've only been in this for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about 7 years now, and we've gone from flight models from 2.0 to 3.5 now. We've had many different iterations on the previous ones all the way through, including now we have this brand new one yet again. You know, I flew 2.5, 2.6, 2.6.3, all of them between that period of time. So me and many other people have a general idea of what we liked, what we didn't like, and there are many much better than me. White Snake is an excellent person who does some fantastic posts on Spectrum with very, very detailed and very well thought out questions for CIG, you know, and he really thinks about it, and I think he's got an experience as a pilot and stuff, and there's other people as well who do similar things. The reality is there is a lot of good people putting a lot of good things out onto Spectrum, and then there's a lot of garbage on Spectrum. And I hate, you know, and CIG, kind of on them to kind of, they should realistically kind of know what they're building. Firstly, you know, it's not really up to us. We kind of have a bit of an opinion on it. Ultimately, they should really know what the fuck they're building. So I hear what he's saying, and I just think that, you know, that's why I'm never huge. I mean, I like them asking our opinions and stuff, but then at the same time, I'm always kind of a bit like, you know, like, you guys should really know what the fuck you're doing, you know? Like,
I think Chris, when we speak to Chris,
I made a game.
he does tell us exactly what he wants, and it is ultimately trying to get to that point. But I agree, it's good that we should have our feedback. But like you say, the majority is not the right voice as such, because sometimes the majority are just going off of what the majority of people want, whereas really it's what Chris wants. And from when it first sort of started out in Star Citizen, and when it first started being launched, and Chris has said he wants it to be like this, and that hasn't changed that much at all since what he said. There's been tweaks, but I think it's still very much in his mind as to what's going on.
Yeah.
But I think our feedback's important, but I don't think they're asking our feedback because they don't know what they're doing and they need guidance. They're asking our feedback because they want to know where the main issues are. And they won't just go, okay, well, this lot have said this, let's change that. It's more.
But that's still pretty difficult. I mean, if the idea, and they've said quite a while back now that they were moving over from, instead of time to kill, time to disable. So if that's what they were moving towards, we're no closer from that day when they said that to anyone disabling a ship at all. No closer. So how can we give feedback on, oh yeah, this feels right, this little ship's doing a good amount of damage on a big ship because it's disabling it now, and we can then do the mechanic of flying over and take it. We can't give an opinion on that at all because we're nowhere near that. And I think that's kind of what he's saying. It's like you're asking for feedback, and we how can we give feedback on how a mission works if the missions aren't working? Or
that's true. But I mean, they haven't asked us for our opinion on how time to disable is working because it's not in game.
No, not how it's working. But if you ask how combat is, well, we don't know how combat is because, like, if your true combat is to disable a ship, then it's not about this ship did 2 shots and it blew up, so that's fine.
But that's not about combat. That's about ship health and that sort of thing. That's about balancing the actual ships and the components. That's not about how does combat feel as a gameplay mechanic. Yeah. It's the gameplay mechanic. I find combat actually feels quite fun and engaging now, and I feel like there's more that we can do compared to what they used to be. But when they start adding things like components and individual areas.
Elaborate. Do you mind, just because I hear people say this quite a lot, Mac. I hear people tell me, like the guy's saying on like a Twitter video, there's a Twitter picture or whatever, this guy posts a picture of his spaceship flying across space, going up into the air and then doing a quantum jump, and he says, loving the new flight model. And I'm like looking at the video going, this just please, and I wrote a message saying, please tell me what's different about what you've just shown to me than what I can do before. So that's what I'm curious. Like, so tell me, what is about combat for you that feels better than the last couple of flight models?
The only way I can really judge combat, because I've never been all that engaged in 2.6 and that stuff, is just how it feels to play. And when in 3.4, I felt frustrated, annoyed, pissed off when I was playing the game, when I was playing combat. In 3.5, I don't feel that. When we had the whole jitteriness and the ESP issues where it was like moving your targeting out of the way. That pissed me off. But now I've done a few of these bounty missions, and don't get me wrong, I've only really played against the AI. So that's in itself is not a good way to judge it. I have played on Arena Commander against, I can't remember what his name was, but I've seen him in a lot of other games where he's, other battles where he's been quite good. And I had a good old battle with him. I ended up dying, but there was a lot of tactics in terms to try and get a better advantage on him, like boosting and strafing to try and get more of a better cross section on him. And then when he would start targeting me, I had to break away from trying to get an angle because he was hitting me. So I knew that if I stayed in that position, I would just get destroyed. So I had to change my tactic up. And I think doing that sort of thing mid-battle felt exciting and it felt good. And from what I play at the moment, it feels fun, it feels engaging, it feels like if I spent more time on it, I would get better. And to me, that is a good flight model. When it's just a complete mess and you can't do anything, then yeah, that's a bad flight model. But I didn't play enough of 2.6. I played 3.4 and stopped combat missions. What I'm playing now in 3.5 feels good, and that I feel is due to the flight model. And atmospheric flight feels really fun, but obviously there's a lot.
Have you done any combat in, like, do you know, in one of the ICC missions, it was in the middle of the asteroid field when you go and get the signal and there's loads of rocks and everything.
Yeah.
Have you done any flight and fight in that sort of situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not hitting the rocks, you're managing to control the...
I have when I realized I was pressing S the whole time and boost because I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. I was flying backwards into a rock. But the strafing, occasionally I have sort of flown close to an asteroid and thought, shit, I need to pay more attention to that. But what is it that about the flight model that says you should be more aware of where you're flying? Why is that the flight model's choice a problem and not your
because
situational
the ship's
awareness?
handled differently. Sorry, but you had more maneuver. I'm not trying to like pick either way. I'm just asking your experience of it. But like obviously before, when the ships were more responsive, you could fly. Because I remember some of the missions being right in the middle of like shit ton of rocks, and a lot of people stopped playing Arena Commander because they said hitting the asteroids that they couldn't see was a pain in the arse, and they didn't want to dogfight in it because it was a pain in the arse. So I was just kind of wondering your experience in that in terms of flying within them sort of rocks, because obviously, yes, you've got to be aware in both flight mechanics, but when your ship is drifting a hell of a lot more than it used to, you've got to be even more aware because you just can't fly at a higher speed. But then maybe that's the point. You're not supposed to, if you're in an asteroid, don't fly at higher speed. Yeah. It's
different ships. It's what I found, which excites me, is the fact that you've got ships that are handled differently with different maneuvers. Like strafing on a Hornet, for example, it drifts a lot more than with an Arrow or a Gladius because it's probably intended to be that way. I'm not saying everything is perfect now. Obviously, there are still a lot of tweaking to do, but from what I've played, the ships feel differently and you have to employ different tactics. And that's what I like. And that's where I think the longevity of training and practice comes in.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to get into a huge... I mean, I've talked to them and I'm blue in my face about flight models and everyone kind of knows where I kind of stand with it generally at the moment. But I'm always curious with people's opinions on what they find better with the flight model now. So thank you for kind of clearing up what your thoughts on it are and stuff. Because like I said, most times I tend to find with people, it's just because they never put the investment of time in previously, or maybe they had a bad experience when they first started, or they felt, they didn't have anyone to teach them because it was the first time in the bag, and then they become a little bit more experienced in the game, and then they have someone to teach them with now or a little bit later or something. It becomes new, so they focus a bit more on it. So therefore, the emotion there becomes more greater to what they've experienced for that reason, rather than actually truly being better. Do you know what I mean? Like there are many of the pilots that I've spoken to who like it and who liked previous models and didn't like previous models. I think most of us were kind of in agreement about the circle jerkiness thing. We didn't really like that in 3.4. There's a few people who did, but most people didn't really like that. So I think we're in agreement about that. But
well, the trouble is
bugs.
My opinion is all based on feeling, not on meta or on actual real life tactics. So I'm not saying my knowledge is there to really give advice on how they should change the flight model. And all I can really base it on is just what it feels like to me.
I don't think that's. I think the thing is, I don't ever think that's an invalid thing.
No, I know it's not.
I think you have to understand where is that emotion. I mean, I always think feeling coming from. If you can think about where the is coming from, is it coming from? Maybe you had a break for 3 months. You know what I mean? And then you come back again to play the new flight model, and suddenly the flight model is amazing, but you've ignored the fact that you've been away for 3 months, or you haven't been playing it for a couple of weeks, or maybe you were going through a bad in your life and things were terrible, and then all of a sudden, this game is suddenly. There are other things that can impact an emotional feeling of why something is better rather than.
Oh yeah,
exactly
I do also think that the more you get used to a certain way of doing something, the harder it is to accept it when it changes. Because I mean, when I played Jumpgate years back, that every ship flew like it does probably now in 3.5. Every ship dragged, and you had to line up in docking collars. I had to go one way, then turn around, offshoot, and line myself up before I could even go forward into the docking bay. I didn't think anything different of it. That was its flight mechanic, and especially because back then games came out and you just played them as soon as they came out. And I think when you get you're so used to your ships up, down, left, right constantly, that to change that it's just difficult. It's difficult to get your head around it, not necessarily whether it's good or bad, but it will. You're used to a certain way or a way of thinking that you want the combat to be, and it's like learning it all over again. And you could learn it all over again and actually like it. You might not, because you just think I liked how it was before, and I don't actually want it to change. And that's the difficulty of getting around that. Once you've got it in your head that actually I liked this, and then you're going from something that you don't like. Yeah, it's
absolutely 100%.
Yeah,
100%. I'm emotionally attached to 2.6.3 with a passion.
How do you feel it is compared
for many reasons? For many reasons.
Like in terms of what's different, what's good, what's bad.
Well, it's hard to say because in 2.6.3 missiles worked. I could, countermeasures to missiles worked. Right. I had much more variety of weapons that I could choose between my ships. And I could choose multiple. Like I've got videos of me flying different ships. So like I've got pictures of videos of me in Hornet. I've got videos of me in a Gladius, in a Saber, with tarantulas, with mass drivers, with sledgehammers, with mantises, being able to like hit targets as well. No circle jerking to a crazy extent. Yes, there was a little bit of speed movement, no question. I admit that the thrusters were, you did get more thrusters for the sides. The side thrusters were giving you huge thrusters. And I'm not going to lie about that. But what I'll always say is what it gave me with Star Citizen was a flying experience and a game experience that I had never experienced with anything else. Unique, truly unique combat flying game experience I have never experienced with anyone else. And it was crazy cool fun, okay? Like combat was just crazy cool fun, especially against other people who are good as well. I love fighting them. Crazy cool fun. The new one at the moment is very drifty. It's very jousty. The combat is slowed way too much, and so for me, I'm not getting the
excitement sort of thing.
It's lost. It's a lot more effort for very little reward. Right. And then they threw in the main biggest buggle I got is the auto gimbal thing. Okay, and I just don't. That will be my the feedback form. Like that's why I was looking. I was scrolling down to try and find someone saying auto gimbal. I'm like, I'm putting that mother. Right now, literally, we're here. I'm like, auto fucking gimbal is trash. Get rid of it, Just get rid of it. It's just a terrible idea to give this to players. Just get rid of it completely and fix your ESP and fix so many of your bugs and fix your missiles and fix all that. Absolutely.
I think a lot of what is like what Jolly says there is there's so much tuning. And like you say, the missiles don't work. That needs to be fine-tuned. The aiming, the netcode, all this sort of stuff. There's so much now that needs to be balanced and tuned. And I'm hoping that once they've done that, it'll get back to the point where it's. I don't know. I don't know what 2.6 felt. I can't remember because I wasn't really engaging in dogfighting. But I believe you lot when you say 2.6 was fun, because I from what I understand, there's so many good dogfighters that are saying it's good, and that's where they should balance it from, really, is the good dogfighters, not the average.
It's a benchmark. For anyone that says like moving on and all the rest of it, it's like I have no choice but to move on. But I benchmark that. That's my benchmark. And I just leave it here all the time, and I go, when they get to the flight model where I'm having as much fun, combat, I was in 2.6.3, and it doesn't have to be the same. But when I'm having as much fun in combat, then I'll be happy days. And for me right now, with the way they've changed the way the ships move and fly, and mainly with the auto gimbal, mainly the auto gimbal thing, I can't truly tell you if I really like this flight model or not because of the auto gimbal thing. And I can switch it off and try. It's just garbage.
I suppose we need to get in there and we need to fly and we need to just like put that to one side and get used to it and see what happens.
I tried,
I would expect over time it's something you'll get used to, but it is so like you say, this whole emotional thing. You've had something that you felt was amazing, and they've tweaked it and they've tuned it, and now it feels different. But I feel like they're on the right track now. Do you feel like they're on the right track, or do you think they're still completely off track?
I will tell you when we get to 3.7.
Well, I mean, that's part of the problem. Like, so going kind of a little bit back to the question about giving the feedback and stuff. Like even when Coulson said when this was coming in, he said it's not the full flight model anyway.
Yeah,
he said there's stuff in there that's not going to, because we haven't got around to tweaking things. So giving your feedback on this flight model, if this flight model is not complete, is also not actually that great. I mean, you can tell roughly how you feel if it's doing what they think it is. But if say, like we said about the overheating was stopping you do lots of stuff, or if that was a bug or whatever, then that's feedback's going to be more skewed to someone. Because I mean, that frustrated me a lot. The overheating just going crazy. I didn't feel like I could even check the flight model because I'm too busy saying, well, how the fuck do I turn my cooler things on or off so that it won't cool down? It's like, there's little things that
there's a lot that's coming to change.
It's hard to give feedback on it until they say, well, these are all the bits that will influence the flight model. Now tell us how it feels, and then you can get in there and get them.
I think we can give our feedback on the auto gimbal thing, though, because they've never said that this wasn't. We can 100% give back our feedback on that, mother.
That goes back to the whole skill-based...
Sorry.
That's that whole skill-based thing that we were talking about.
Yeah. Auto gimbals, man.
And I remember the time when I was saying about how I don't want people to have a mining auto thing. You were like, well, hang on a minute. We seem to have this auto gimbal. And I thought, oh, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I agree. Nothing should be automated. So everything should be skill-based. You should have to learn. And that, I suppose that goes to the niche aspect. The average gamer is probably going to have a 9-to-5, a wife, whatever, and they can only play for so long. But I don't think they should have a leg up for the sake of it.
Monster Hunter World, I get my ass kicked every fucking time because you got to learn how the boss attacks, and then you got to dodge, and you got to jump, and you got to use the right spell at the right time. That's called learning a game. And if I'm not good at it, if I really suck that much after trying to learn so much, then don't do it. I'll have to either not play that game. And if Star Citizen's the same, if you're not that good at combat, you either only fight pilots that aren't as good as you, or you run away. That to me, that would be my option. I don't want them to make the game easier because I can't do it. If combat's all you want to do, then you need to learn to get better and better. And if you still can't do it, then unfortunately you've got to go and find a different game. Or like I said,
Minecraft,
there's probably going to be plenty of people in there that's not as good as you. So yeah, like fight those guys or fight NPCs because they're shit. So there you go.
Well, but the point is that that's the point. They will be flying, and most people will be flying. PvP will be NPC based. So. Just again, don't ruin. Like that's why I hate is they ruin a part of the game that they didn't need to ruin. They didn't need to ruin it. They didn't need to touch that. They really didn't. And if they had said, "Oh, we're putting this in now because we want to tune up our auto, for our AI," and they were taking it away. Okay, cool, no problem. We'll test it out. I'll happily be more than comfortable. But they didn't. They've stuck it in there. It is what it is. We've talked about this quite a few times now. I'm pretty much at the point where I'm like, I'm just going to put it in Spectrum, my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Garbage. It damages, in my opinion, the long term. It's just bad overall for the game, personally, in my opinion. I think it's, like I said, it's an iceberg. There's a huge level of how this is damaging to the game underneath and makes balancing a nightmare, in my opinion. Honestly, it makes balancing a nightmare. It's much easier to balance skill. When you have got no ability to understand skill because your AI is fucking making people better or not, and then you've got like a whole nother level of complexity to the skill element of the game. It makes it's just fucking terrible.
Yeah. So we'll leave that for now. We do need to kind of try the flight mechanic more. try and blow up anyone
So
that's
if you-
using auto gimbals so that we can actually just
if
try
you don't
the
like-
flight mechanic and try and judge
If you
it on
don't
that,
like auto
basically.
gimbals, please go on Spectrum. And if you really don't like it and you haven't got anything else that really kind of bugs you a little bit, please go on Spectrum and vote that one day. The quantum timing stuff, honestly, isn't that much of a, honestly, in my opinion, yes,
Compared
it's
to
important that they
yeah.
know about it.
Compared to that,
But
it's,
auto gimbals, it's far more of a bigger deal, in my opinion, and should really be much higher up. It should be the first thing. I'm really annoyed it's not. But I really want them to be like, get rid of that. Or just give it to like, if you have to have it in, just give it to the turrets only, you know, so they have a bit of an aim assist for the turret thing, you know. That would be my only place.
I don't mind waiting to see what they do with things in terms of balancing. If they have an intention for something and there's a genuine reason, then let's see how it goes. But at the moment, it's still a bit.
Just adds more breaks. The thing is, they can't even make anything work. They spent 2 years, dude, trying to get ESP to work. They still can't get that shit to work. And then they bring in another game mechanic that is not even finished. And then they stick both of them together. What do you think's going to happen? Oh my God, it's going to be a miracle. They're going to work really well together, and everything's going to be
close your fingers, close your eyes, and like, please work.
I'm just glad that you can turn off ESP now, because I didn't even realize you could, but you can bind it to a key now, and it makes it so much better. Like before they had the option, because they took out the option on just the menu to turn it on and off, and it was a nightmare, especially when they had those jittery AI and your ship was like this, trying to like
pull them everywhere.
Yeah, so if you can turn it off, it's like, okay, no, they're not influenced by that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go through it now. And chat, you guys can join us in as well. Okay, so the most irritating bug. What is the most irritating? Because I want to go through this. What is your most irritating bug? Panel will go for it, and you guys in chat. What is the most irritating bug for you at the moment that you've added with 3.5?
Jittery AI.
I don't know if they
care,
prepared
by the
the overheating or not, but that would be it. I haven't actually
They
played
have.
it since
They've
it's gone
got it in.
live, so I don't know.
Yeah. What about you, Manus?
The most irritating bug of Star Citizen, switching it on. I haven't played it enough to be able to tell you what the most irritating bug is, because nothing's really gone terribly wrong. I would probably say the jittering AI that I've seen on other people's streams. So like I watched Jolly play the other day and he was trying to shoot. It was terrible. It was like da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'd say the jitteriness of the whatever that is, server side thing, whatever that server issue is, I guess. I'd say that's the most irritating thing for me. See what's chat saying. Let's have a look. What's chat saying?
I don't see what's wrong with that, Coda. That's just
Random
elite
death.
AI dodging.
Well, that's weird though. That is really
Cannon
weird.
speed.
That's not AI. That's Star Marine.
Oh, was it in Star Marine? That's just
Yeah, that's
dodge
against the real
skills. Just like
players.
double tap dodge. It's, can't hit me, bitch.
Let's see what the number one thing is. The number one
Random
thing in
death.
Spectrum: cargo grid that makes vehicle loading impossible. Cargo floor that are unable to hold boxes is the number one. 191 upvotes on Spectrum. That's their number one bug, is cargo that falls through boxes. It tells you a lot about the people on Spectrum, really, doesn't it? What
Isn't
they
that just
do.
in like certain ships, like Reliant or something?
Probably.
I've heard Reliants are bad for that.
191
What are Reliance
whale
good for?
accounts. 191 whale accounts right there. struggling to load up their huge freelancers. And
Surely one of the main issues is going to be
Starfarers.
freaking random deaths or crashes, because when it takes you that long to get anywhere and it crashes, you've got to do it all again.
Yeah, that is so. Especially when you're trying to record and you've only got like maybe an hour, and you're like, right, let's
Or group up with a friend.
let's do this. Yeah.
the 300i, it says here, the three freshly designed 300i can't hold mission boxes in its cargo hold.
It can't.
And yep, they tried a mission today using a 300i. The box fell out of the hold. Took me an hour to get lucky. Wow.
That's got nothing to do with cargo boxes.
Yeah, what's that good for carrying? You just go down to your local.
Yeah, exactly.
Hours
And
pretty
then
good.
that's next one after that is my ship despawns at outposts for no reason when I am just meters away, leaving me stranded.
That's a good one.
That's just a feature, dude.
That's
Welcome to
a
Travel
feature.
Time, Star Citizen.
That's a feature.
That's so you ask people to come and pick you up and have to wait for them. Like that's what Mac's talking about. The bus. That's the bus simulator in space game.
And then that person is picking up, like you get in the back of the Cutlass and there's like 10 other people. Oh, what happened to you?
10 other people.
Get my ship despawned.
Tell me your story.
Okay.
Well, the story's the same.
Where are you from? Where have you been picked up from?
Oh, I had drugs in my hand.
I bet that journey
too long
would
to pick up
fly
the
by.
box.
It would. If you could get the VoIP working. Is VoIP working now?
Oh wait, yeah, no, that's not working.
Voiceover?
Not that I don't think so.
Oh my god!
Get that working.
Yeah, Lord, we got this amazing new system, VoIP, and they're going to revolutionize. They don't work. That's my biggest. I think that's one of the. When you talk about adverts, like if I was to do an advert for Star Citizen, half of the advert wouldn't work. That would be kind of like the way I would do the advert. Like literally, the first half would be amazing, and then nothing else after that. It would kind of like start failing and not, and nothing really works. Yeah. That's kind of what Star Citizen is at the moment. It really is. It is alpha. But here's a question. We'll come back to the bit in a second. But like, at what point does the words "it's in alpha" become more of something for Star Citizen to hide behind? You know, at what point will you say, will the community ever, some of the people won't, obviously they'll never ever, it could be 30 years and they could be on their deathbed.
Yeah.
But when will 12 years, 15 years of alpha, and if it's still in a similar sort of condition, 30 years, will there be a point ever where people will go, we'll look back at it and go, yeah, that was a bit embarrassing, wasn't it, really?
No, when it goes to beta, they'll then stop saying it's an alpha and use that as an excuse.
At the end of the day, it can go for alpha for another 10 years if that's what they want. It's whether you accept waiting that long for a game.
That's what I'm asking. That's what I mean. That's my
that's it. That's
it's
the
individualized.
Difference. It's how long are you prepared to accept?
How long are you
waiting?
How long are you prepared?
Beta?
How long are you prepared to accept?
I don't know. As soon as I get to the point where I think, fuck this, I'm off.
It is hard to know.
At which I don't think anybody knows until it hits them, and then they're like, I need a break.
Because it's a bit like when Squadron 42 was supposed to come out in 2016, and then it got obviously delayed. Like we're all on the bandwagon that they've announced. Did they announce the date or at least the year that it's going to be out?
No, they haven't released it. Beta is 2020. Yeah. And
so it's like, we're getting that again, another date to live by. Now, are we going to just accept it again if it doesn't make it? Are people just going to go, oh, yeah, never mind, it'll get there? Or is
again, it's like some people will, some people won't. I personally, I'm enjoying it right now. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying hanging out with the community. But then there will be a point, like maybe 10 years down the line, if I'm like, hang on a minute, this is still an alpha. What the fuck? But until I reach that point, I have no idea. Start Squadron 42. They've said it's going to go to beta by 2020. I wouldn't be pissed off if it waited till 2021 because I expect that now with Star Citizen. I know that there's no hard dates, and I'm fine with it. I've accepted that because that's what we have to wait for to get a game of a certain quality and difference, and I've accepted that. So I'm okay to wait.
I think what you're trying to say, and I think that's basically the point, is it's hard to know until it actually hits you. And you just wake up and go, this isn't fun anymore. But the other option, the other thing as well, is it's not exclusive. Like, no one's saying you can only play this game. Now, if you could only play one game at a time and that's all that's allowed, then you might be quickly out of this one a hell of a lot quicker to go and play different games. But at the moment, all the time is you can drop this game at any point you want and then go and play a different game for now. So.
Well, of course. But then I think if you're like you're writing up on game development, or you're interested in game development, or you're interested in progress and like what's progressing, what's not progressing, and all that kind of thing, Star Citizen is fascinating. Absolutely. I mean, fascinating to watch because
it's a gold mine.
We're going to have potentially next year, maybe we've got the 2 single player games of a similar kind of ilk in terms of like I say with Cyberpunk 2077, in terms of a time frame and a studio that demands excellence. And everyone talks about Star Citizen. They taking along and they want, you just said it, Matt, they're taking along as they want to create something truly unique and truly original stuff. And CD Projekt Red, I think, are of a similar sort of mindset. They will not bow to they don't do like an EA type of thing. It's about making the game right. When they're happy with the game and it's right, they will deliver the game to you, the gamer. That's what they're about. And they're very clear about that. And so And they've gained a lot of respect from the community, I think, from gamers, and they're all that's why people get hyped up for it. I think that's what Star Citizen is the same. Everyone's hyped for Star Citizen. I don't believe in a single, when Star Citizen finally gets to that place where they are at that same level, there will be a massive amount of hype for Squadron 42, especially with all the A-list and the label people and stuff. But I just kind of I wonder. It's going to be fascinating to compare the two games. I know everyone says you can't, but I'm like, you can, because they're both single player games. And they're within space world. One's, they are. You can totally can compare what they've delivered. So I can't wait. That's going to be fascinating to do over the next couple of years. And we're getting closer and closer to hopefully Squadron 42. But you just said beta, which scared the crap out of me. Then you said Squadron 42 is going to go into beta next year. I thought they were releasing the game.
No, beta 20. I think second quarter or third quarter maybe, or last quarter for next year.
So they'll go to beta, and then people will test it like they do in other games like Battlefront and the rest of it, and then it will go away again, and then they'll finish it up, and then it should be released. In theory, they should have a release date, because doesn't when Battlefront came out into beta, didn't they have a release date? Because EA obviously will have put in a release date on for Christmas or something like that, or summer. I'm trying to think.
The thing with the beta in this is, I don't know how they're going to run it in this, because they may well do it kind of like the Anthem way, where you just played for a small section just to iron out, because really everything, your features are all supposed to be done and everything else. And if they've been keeping Squadron 42 such a secret, you don't really want to allow everybody to go and play the whole game just during a beta. So I think it will be a small chunk, kind of, I suppose we were waiting for the vertical slice. It will probably be something like that, a very small chunk of the game that you can play and test. I don't think you're going to end up being beta testing the whole thing, so I don't think it'll be a long drawn out beta.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of tests, because it's generally EA will test games in beta because it's a multiplayer environment. Squadron 42 isn't, so they'll have the usual in-house QA testers. Even less. They probably won't even allow players to test it, and I don't think a lot of Eva Cotti proper testers. I don't think any of you are going to want to play and test the full Squadron 42 experience. You're going to want to play the finished game. But that's the difference, is it's a single-player campaign. There's no online aspect. So beta isn't as scary as an online beta, like Fallout 76.
That's still in beta.
That had a beta test, and that was a mess, because it's a multiplayer. It's just, it's not... If it was a single-player game like the rest of the Fallout series, there's probably no issues.
Yeah, definitely.
That makes a massive difference.
Question for anyone in chat who's this is still quite new to me in terms of podcasts and gaming, the gaming industry, and being much more involved in it. I've been doing it for 2 years, but it still seems pretty new. The more I learn, the more I realize. When a game goes into beta, what's the longest time usually a game from going into beta to releases on average?
So again,
what's the longest a game ever has been?
Max said it depends on whether it's an online game or a single player. You don't actually normally see going into beta. Don't normally get them.
So from a closed beta then, say from what they'd consider a closed beta, usually how long does anyone know roughly?
There'll only be maybe a couple of weeks of testing, and then that might be maybe 3 months before release. They'll do a couple of weeks of testing, and then it might be an open beta. But
generally, single players don't have betas. Yeah. They just don't, because again, you're playing that single player story, so they just generally don't have it. And if they do, it'll be people closed doors that have applied specially, and that you wouldn't even know.
Okay.
So
we released then Squadron 42. In fact, in theory, will be in next year.
In theory, if that's when they're doing the beta for it, then the release should be not far off. It might be what they might end up having is a closed beta with certain people. Maybe the Eva Carty, if they ask the top testers if they want to do it or not. And then it may well be tested for, like Mac just said, a couple of weeks, and then it will close down, and then they'll go back to the not the drawing board, but back to development, iron out what they can, and then release it basically.
What about magazine? The way that they did Cyberpunk, they did the vertical slice and let the guys see that will they do something like that with it? They'll go to the gaming industry and let a select number of people get a hold of the beta.
The press will likely, yeah. For example, PC Gamer, those sort of magazines will likely have a hands-on. They won't be able to show anything, maybe a few screenshots that CIG have said, you're good to show that. But they will just have a written review or a preview of it. But I honestly don't see Squadron 42 having a beta that we will take part in. They may send out invites to select Evocoti testers and say, we want more people to test it. So if you want to, you can. But there's no way we'll. And with all the leaks that go on the Evocoti, they probably won't even bother doing that.
I would not put it anywhere near. I hate to say it, but I just wouldn't give it to Evocoti if I was them. Like this, they're like a sieve. You know, it's like
I'd go dark. Pointless. I'd go dark for the whole of that release. You wouldn't see anything from me. I'd just be like, nope.
No, not until it's live. I don't want to. I honestly don't want. Personally, I just want to get the game out. They're happy with it. When they said it's finished, it's good. I'll get it. I don't want it out at the same time as Cyberpunk, though. So if you guys could talk to each other and make sure that you're not releasing your games at the same time. I have a feeling that Cyberpunk guys are going to be ahead of Squadron 42. I think they're a little bit more.
They have a more established company and they know what they're doing, don't they? In that sort of terms of even releasing a game.
I think it's like people say that as well, and I kind of go. That shouldn't be the case, though, right? Like,
I guess it's
like, well, they've made a lot of games in the past. Yeah, they're experienced. They've got a big number of staff now. The only thing that they've not got is they just haven't released a game yet. You know, whereas the other guys have released several games and been, and
we now have a $46 million budget for advertising, which I think is purely Squadron 42.
Yeah, they do.
That's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. Probably not in the right way.
Let's not say there's not.
It's still time.
Probably. Oh God, it's not. Well, I'm hoping they've learned from their mistakes.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
But spend it all on billboards.
Yeah, there's a lot yet to go, and it'll be interesting. Like the way they handle Squadron 42 beta will determine how they'll handle the Star Citizen beta as well. Not in terms of testing and open betas and whatnot, but in terms of how they handle the launch will be very interesting when it comes to the PU. So what we see they do next year with Squadron 42, that's saying it's probably not even going to launch next year. Quarter 2 2020. So July 2020 is when it's going to beta. That's not to say that year it's going to release release of Squadron 42. I'd like to think maybe Christmas they'd have a release because it gives them 6 months of beta testing, but I don't know how long the average game takes in terms of beta and for single player, and how long CIG want to take, because they do things differently. They always have done, they always will do, and I like that. Has its swings and roundabouts, but they do it their way. So there's no way, we can compare Cyberpunk to Squadron 42 to a point because they are both sci-fi AAA games, but Cyberpunk is from an established studio. CIG are
trying to become an established studio.
Yeah, they're building something from scratch on a completely different thing. They've not had years and years of constant game releases, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot different.
They have a different level of expectations, though. I mean, the thing is, the CD Projekt Red guys, the hype is so cohesively massive for that game now. It better be fucking good. Project Red is all I'm saying, because really must be, and I think that's where I go. There's a comparison to CIG. It's the same thing, because the hype has been built up and built up and built up for so long, because the game is so long in development. It continues to be longer and longer, and they're making more and more money, and it's delayed. And there's that expectation of deliver these new cool fancy videos and stuff. It just builds it up. So they're both in the hype, they're both in that kind of can they achieve, like Anthem, or like a No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, kind of one of its biggest failings besides the lying was obviously the expectation of being able to do so much, which I think there was an article, I think, with Chris Roberts. He comments, someone asked him, I think, to comment about what Anthem needs to do to fix itself and stuff and to be better, which I thought was really kind of humorous, in my opinion. I was chuckling to myself.
Maybe they thought it was humorous when they were asking him.
I know.
This will be ironic, and he just over his head as he answers it and then waves. I'm just like, because it's so funny, because I have been the show on the podcast. I've been referring to, I've been talking about the BioWare and within BioWare Studios, how I've been seeing from an outside perspective, just some of the things that they failed at, or not failed at, but some of the things that went wrong, which I think had a knock-on effect and impacted the game development of Anthem. I think some of those things seem to be going on a little bit on the outside. I mean, I don't know from the inside, but on the outside, within the Star Citizen, treading water, this treading water thing that the guys did at Anthem, the top management just tread water forever and ever and ever. And I think Star Citizen has had a little bit of that constantly treading water effect, not going anywhere.
and having 4 studios, bad communication, inner fighting between studios. I thoroughly believe that goes on at Star Citizen. I think if you didn't do that, then you clearly never worked at any place in the world where you have, even in one building, you have people competing often against each other. So put that into studios. So you have that inner fighting as well. So it's fascinating when he commented, I think, he said iteration. He said, look at No Man's Sky, and he used No Man's Sky as an example, which I thought was really interesting. I give credit to the No Man's Sky team. Very small team, achieved a huge amount, and then they continue to do a lot for free, by the way, Chris Roberts, for free, and giving away updates. And they've turned No Man's Sky into a much, much better game. It should have been the game that was on release, yes, but they've done a good job. But it was just scary to me because, again, here's a man, his ideas, and his idea to fix a problem is to just keep going on and 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 on until you fix it, which is like, that's cool if people keep giving you the money. Yes. But what happens when you run out of money? What happens when you run out of money? I think maybe he's found the golden goose that keeps laying golden eggs forever, so I don't think he ever has to worry about it. But here's an interesting thing, by the way, about the feedback form, which now Mac's back. I wanted to kind of point this out. If you go onto the feedback form, look at the number of upvotes for things, and that will tell you what people find interesting and how many and what the priorities are. Because if we go through it, so if I go, I want to try and pull it up now, and we'll go through, and I kind of like try and grab through a couple of it. So we saw on the very first one, which was the most irritating bugs. So you go to the most irritating bugs, 389 replies. The top one was the cargo thing, 191. So irritating bugs is obviously quite a popular one, the very first thing. Then most frustrating gameplay mechanic. If you kind of click on that one, if it ever works, you go 576, 126 was the top, plus that one, talking about quantum time. Clearly, that's a really big focus. Then you go to ship combat. Drops dramatically. Only 84, 65 was the top one. So already, we come down by half again in terms of like what people obviously are playing or interested in. So combat clearly isn't really that big a thing. Well, it's big, but it's not like, it's obviously not a major thing. Then you go FPS combat. We're now down to 21 was the top one, a maximum of 46 replies. So FPS is really not that interesting, clearly, to most people. Then we go to mining. Mining, 42 with an upvote of plus 32, and then some other things. Again, this is me being very vague, okay? I'm not, but I'm just looking at, the numbers in terms of what people... Then we go to commodity trading is 53 with 37 replies. So trading and mining around about the same type of thing. Then you go racing, 13 on the top one with a plus and a maximum of 35 replies. Not very interesting to most people, which you'd expect. It's a very niche gameplay mechanic. And then you got economy, 28 replies, 33 trading. Then the mission system, 62 with 50. And Arena Commander and Star Marine 30, 24. Really not a lot going on at the bottom there. It's almost like everyone just spunked their load of the first 2 replies and then just gave up with the rest of them.
You find that a lot, though. That's the thing, isn't it?
It's partly that, but it's also down to the majority of the gameplay, what people are doing. Like, everybody, no matter what gameplay they like, has to jump, has to be involved in quantum time. Everybody that doesn't have to go out and mine or go out and do FPS combat. So those sort of issues are going to be coming up nearer the top anyway, I think, because it influences more people.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, I think also, if people do have a feedback for all of that, they will probably start at the top and then work their way down and then eventually get slightly bored. But yeah, like what Miserable says, it's certain people like combat, certain people don't, certain people like mining, certain people like racing. And you're going to see, it doesn't mean like the majority, like it's kind of like that half cup empty or full. The majority of people don't like racing. No, it's just, there's just that many people currently playing the game that have feedback on it.
Yeah.
It's not a case of nobody likes racing because only 13 people have voted something. It's not what it means. It's just those people have taken the time to explain because they know what they want to say about it. I like racing, but I haven't bothered saying.
It's like Star Marine. Like you said, if it's buggy and no one's playing it because it doesn't work, you're not going to get feedback on Star Marine because it's buggy and nobody's playing it. It doesn't mean people don't want to play it. It just means people aren't playing it. So it's a little bit of what people are interested in. It's a lot about what's influencing people, like the crashing bugs or you dying all the time. It affects everybody no matter what you want to do. Overheating ships again was a thing that was massively commented on because it affected everybody. And I think that's generally how it would be anyway on any feedback form. The thing that influences the bigger number of people will get the biggest response.
And I like to say, I think it's a great thing that CIG have put this option up here, because I know we've had it in the past, but this gives us the chance to say exactly what is currently in game causing us issues, so that CIG can hear us and say, okay. Because I wouldn't be surprised if now they come in and they reduce the quantum travel times.
Yeah, and I strong believe if you're someone that's that passionate about the things that you dislike in the game, or even what you like, if that's what they're asking for both, then you need to. It's a bit like voting in real life. You can't moan about the end results if you don't go and vote. So if you really want to have your opinion, if you really want to slag it off or say what you love or you hate, then you need to go there and you need to give that feedback. It's important either way, because they need to know people are liking it, and they now need to know people don't like it. And if you're not going to go and take the time to do that, then your feedback afterwards doesn't really count, because you can't sit there and whinge and say, oh no, they didn't fix it, or the travel times are shit. Did you tell them that you thought travel times are shit? No. Well, if everybody does that, then you're not going to get the right results that you want. And that this especially goes for people that turn around and say it's the vocal minority that say stuff. Well, this is the chance for those people that are the majority, to get out there and tell their stuff and let everybody know.
Yeah.
Do your part.
Exactly.
Also, you'll find most people like to complain rather than provide positive feedback.
Yeah, but that's what I was wanting to say. I was going to say, if you are going to give them positive feedback, and if you do like the flight model, like I was asking Mike, please,
the Mike Mac,
please, do you also just do a little stiff? If you've got the time to start typing, just give a little like why you like it as well. Like even if it is just I love the way this is, just a little something I think is really important, because if you just say I like something, it's not
feedback.
It's not
actually feedback.
I like it a lot. It's nice. It's nice for them. It's nice for them, you know. But in terms of like for me as well, who reads, and I like to see the likes and the dislikes and stuff. I kind of like, I'm always curious to know. And if you just say I like something, it's like, well, fuck, I've got to write you an email, message you and say, what do you know?
Saying I like something is as useful as saying I don't like something. Both of those don't help anybody.
Feedback is only good if it actually provides feedback and not just, I like this.
Ironically, is why the Evocati was formed, because the people doing the bug reports weren't doing them properly. They were just saying, this don't work, I don't like it. And they're like, well, we need to know how that doesn't work or why that broke.
Yeah, and they need in-depth descriptions. That's what helps, is this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is, where this is good. And that's why you see a lot of the ones that are voted do have good, well-explained feedback, not just what we were saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Monkey says no.
Exactly.
So says I.
Everybody. But in terms of 3.5 though, if anyone's got any other really good games that they could recommend for me, throw them in chat right now. I'm desperately trying to find some new games to play at the moment. I really, really not enjoying it. I can't say that I am. I really not enjoying it, and I'm happy to try. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep jumping in. I'm going to keep making the effort. I'm going to jump in with people who are enjoying it and feed off some of their. But if I don't want to turn into that, what's the word? Like the joy sucker. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be that kind of
fun sponge.
I just don't want to be that person. I'm not that person. I love Star Citizen. I'm a massive. I watched all clips. I had to watch all clips of me on my Discord. Just like look at how happy he was about the Reclaimer advert. Look how happy he was. Look how happy that person is. He's not a misery guts, And I kind of want to get back to that person. So I'm all happy to try and jump in with people who want to play. I think Kingsley's offered to show me the ropes in terms of some of the missions and to make money, and at the end of the day, I want to, maybe I have to, like I said, take my gameplay, put it to the side, and then try a different type of gameplay and see where I come up with and see if I enjoy it, because I have done that before and I did actually have a good time doing it. It was fun to try some other things for a bit. So I'm done, but I have to do my key bindings, and that's one of the biggest things that have been putting me off hardcore. I've got to sit down for an hour. I'm like,
It's awful. It's
so
really
painful.
awful.
Took me too long to get into
key
3
bindings.
point whatever because of the key bindings and getting it set up.
But that is something that is so important. Like when I was playing the DTU for 3.5, I went to town and got everything sort of organized, and it was great. And then obviously the main one came out, the live build, and it's different. And I thought, fuck, I forgot to save
No.
the PTU thing, and I thought, I can't be. So I still haven't gone through and done it, so I'm still playing default keyboard and joystick. It's like, fuck, I'm pissed up there.
Yeah. No, and because my arm is a bit bad, so for me, it's like using the keyboard is kind of like it's sore. So again, there's another thing. Kind of again, this is what I'm talking about emotionally. You know, there's many sometimes people.
Yeah,
there are many things that can have an impact for why you don't like, especially if you're like play on emotion. So for me, with pain being something that's obviously not something I like, I don't want to be, like I said, lingering around. So I want to get in and enjoy the game for a good chunk of time. Rest. Give the tennis elbow a rest. So and I need to, the fact that I have to go and reset up my joystick, my pedals, and I've had nothing but problems with computers, like in my personal life. You know what I mean? So all of those, all that work with setting up my Go XLR, setting up my new microphone, 2 PCs breaking in a week, having to fix them, all of that coming together, and then 3.5, then 3.5, then 3.5, then coming along and needing. All of that stuff, has an impact. And I know that. I'm not, like I said, that's what I'm saying about sometimes you have to kind of let things go over a period of time and then see if you can find a way to enjoy and invest in it and see. So I'm not writing off 3.5 completely. I've definitely written off the auto aim assist. I know for a fact that trash, and I will never change my mind on that one at all. That is trash.
Change my mind.
But everything, the flight model. Yeah, change my mind. Someone please tell me how that is a good thing. Please,
Roadhouse.
Please. Yeah, just someone tell me exactly why that would be, why the auto aim is, and I can't see one. I just can't. I suppose I could, if you need to play the game one-handed like Red Lear did in AC.
It's very important to have your cup of tea ready.
A beer in one hand.
While fighting.
And you're a freelancer going backwards on cruise and auto aim shooting everything in the other hand. Then I suppose, yes, okay, fair enough. That's a good point. Hold my beer scenario. You don't need to have someone hold my... Someone doesn't need to hold your beer anymore. There you go. That's the reason.
There we go. And I think that's a good point too.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're there.
I think so.
So,
yeah.
As always, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your company and support, as always.
Yes.
Super Mac Brothers, Ryan, what are you going to be doing this week?
Tomorrow, sweet fuck all. Now I'll be getting some videos done in between work and football. And then Wednesday, streaming again, having some fun, getting everyone in the game and taking a hammerhead and trying to blow shit up. That's always fun, especially now turrets seem to work all right. Then I suppose it's BritizenCon. We've got the Bar Citizen on Friday. Looking forward to that. Hope you can all make it. And then Saturday is BritizenCon, which we are hosting the stream, so that should be fun. Other than that, it's the same old, I think.
Remind me again, who's hosting the BritizenCon again?
Just me.
Just Mac.
I'm still struggling from the posters to figure out who's hosting what on
Max. Mrs. Poster's coming tomorrow, apparently. So.
Okay, Mrs. You get me posters tomorrow.
But that'll mean when his poster comes out, I'm not streaming, so it'll be Miz tomorrow.
Yeah, it means like me and you have had a fight, and so it's like 1 minute Max streaming, next minute Miserable fighting. Yeah. You tell him he's streaming today. No, you tell him. Please.
I could have done the poster for free. It would have been fine.
You still should.
Madness, what are you not going to be doing this week?
Well, I'm not playing 3.5 too much. I'm going to try it. Like I said, I want to. Where you kind of. I don't want to be. It feels like I'm forcing like a square through a circle. Oh, you know what I mean? It's like kind of that scenario, and I don't want to come to a hating place. So if it does come to that place where I really am, I will just say, look, I'm holding on 3.5. I'll still do the podcast and all the rest of it, and I'm still interested and still be on people's streams and all that stuff. But I will just hold like I did for 2.6 until they release and they balance and they do more. I think most people in chat would probably be would understand that, and I think get it and stuff. There's people who've been holding for fucking a year. You know what I mean? Waiting for every year they come back and they go.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So,
the minority probably are the people that play the game constantly over and over and over again, regardless. Yeah. Most people, we know how many accounts there are. They come, they try a patch, they go, yeah, it's good progress so far, and then they go again.
I'm definitely not getting 2 million viewers.
You sure? They're just not. They're just anonymous, invisible.
They're offline.
So yeah.
So I'm gonna play. I want to play some other games. I have my new. I have this little bad boy. Got my DSLR camera, which I need to set up for my web thing. So I can. I want to do. Obviously, we've got to do some more creative stuff. Like with Miz, we're doing the painting, the D&D. I got models painting and stuff. So Miz has been kind of showing me the ropes and stuff. So I think tomorrow we'll be doing some more painting, creative stuff. Like I said, we're gonna do some more vlogging, videos. I'm going to just take this opportunity, actually, really, whilst Star Citizen's kind of not really holding my interest as much, to do other things and maybe look at the podcast, maybe look at the show, and try some other things. Really, that's I think it's so just I like to keep busy, and I've made it. This has taken a lot of my time, and whilst it's on a bit of I don't need to play it as much, then I can do other things. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And I'm looking for other games, though. Seriously, like I really am. If other people have got other games, and they got any recommendations, please feel free to jump in my Discord or Twitter or whatever, and send me messages of games. Or if you've got any hype games that you're excited about coming forward, like I said, we want to do more interesting things here on the show about gaming. So yeah, we're going to do lots of cool stuff. What else is there? Setting that up, doing shoes. So I'll be doing lots of sneakers as I always do. Yeah, that's it really. Just being a dad and having all that stuff.
Being a dad, full-time job.
Use the fucking XLR.
He's only doing that quick. He's being a dad.
You don't need to fake a voice. Press the button and do it.
That's true.
I don't know how to press any buttons.
He doesn't know how to do it yet.
What button? Hang on, I can do this button. Hang on.
Don't be a robot. Is that a voice?
Being a dad.
Okay.
Being a dad.
He's being the auto dad.
I am the auto dad.
Yeah, get ready for much more of those because they're going to be fun because they got the guys lots to do lots of voices. So yeah, as Madness says, we do D&D on most Fridays, and we're going to try and start streaming it again because we've stopped it for a little while. We did the one shot last Friday, which was really good fun.
It was a lot of fun.
And tomorrow we're going to be doing some painting. And on the painting side of things, JRDF, if you don't know, have released a Grey Cat model. You'll be able to go and buy some at BritterzenCon if you're going to BritterzenCon. If not, if you go to their website, they're on pre-order, I think now. You can get them for £5 less than what they were supposed to be. So yeah, go and get those. But we will, as the Asylum, be getting a couple of those, and we will be painting those live as well, so you can... You trolls, so that you can watch us put together, build, and paint the Grey Cat buggy, which would be good fun for some of us at least. So yeah, that's what's coming up for us lot on the channel.
Not for commercial pilots, though.
Not for commercial pilots, no.
That's not fun.
No. Or sitting there doing nothing for 10 hours,
And
waiting for the kit to build
look out
itself.
for tomorrow, everyone, because Miz is supposed to coming out tomorrow. To let everybody know that he will be at BritterzenCon hosting something. So yeah.
Well, it's
Don't
not
forget.
confirmed yet, is it? Let's not build up too much hype.
Oh
Yeah.
wait,
Just
well,
in
what's not
case.
confirmed? What's not confirmed? What, Miz or the poster?
Miz. Both.
Okay, guys, on that note, good night, folks. See you all
Take care, everyone.
around the verse.
Round the verse.
Around the verse. Goodbye.